In the past 3 months, I've endured a considerable amount of harassment here on YouTube and elsewhere I travel on the internet. I haven't been keeping count, but I probably deleted a few thousand messages from this channel and blocked hundreds of people. Because a lot of people ask for my side of the story, I've written a few blog posts pointing out the people most vocally opposed to me are childish internet trolls, many of whom throw around the slur faggot as if it's going out of style, and have made a lot of baseless accusations against me. But even then, that doesn't seem to get people to understand what really happened, and is continuing to happen, nor what this is all about. So, I'll share my side in this video. Back in April, Rue, the host of 16-Bit Gems, made a video review for Lufia 2, which happens to be one of my favorite childhood games. So obviously I watched it, especially since I'd previously watched Rue's video on Earthbound and the Soul Blazer trilogy, which I enjoyed. However, about halfway into the video, Rue went into a rant about people who believe the term JRPG is racist, and I noticed that his arguments seemed designed to counter many of the points I've raised about this issue in my own videos. Videos, I will point out, I made last year. I then noticed in the comment section that Rue acknowledged his rant was, in his own words, a rebuttal to the arguments I made in my Real History of JRPGs videos. So, I decided to respond back. After all, if he made a video responding to me, why not make a video responding right back about how he was missing the point? Seemed harmless enough, right? Well, wrong. I made a very simple mistake. I made an unscripted video while I was tweaked. You see, I wasn't upset at Rue for disagreeing with me, but for the manner in which he decided to disagree. After watching his argument, I did not feel that he was giving the issue the kind of respect I believe the issue deserves, and I felt several of the statements in his video were also incredibly disrespectful to me, such as that he had to counter my arguments before they gained steam, and his subtle accusations that everyone on the internet can hear me scream, as if my arguments were some kind of immature rant when they were actually based in facts. Also, as a fan of Rue's show, I was displeased that he didn't give the issue the kind of research he usually gives to topics. His generalization of the JRPG and WRPG genres appeared lifted straight from Wikipedia without any further research. I sincerely believe that had he done some research into the matter, he'd discover that, at the least, the Japanese computer RPG industry is simply too diverse to pigeonhole with any kind of stereotype, let alone one that insists they are largely turn-based with linear narratives and simple character systems. My thinking was that since Rue put so little effort into his rant, I wouldn't put any effort into mine either. I made the same mistake that he did, not treating this very serious and important issue in a mature way, and I ended up being a lot more snarky than I should have been because it wasn't scripted. After I made my video, I posted it here on my channel, and then posted that link into the comment section of his own video, including the mirror at Blistered Thumbs. Almost immediately, Rue's friends rushed to his aid. Some went as far as to claim Rue had never even heard of me, and that I was crazy for believing Rue directed that rant at me, because Rue had personally told them his rant had nothing to do with me, which, I don't know if that's true that Rue ever said that, but it's a lie either way. Anyway, I realized my argument wasn't coming across as best as it should have, and tried to respond to posters in the comment section to clear up the confusion, but they either wouldn't listen or refused to listen. Given how things have went, I believe it was the latter. They organized their subscribers to flood my videos with hatred and profanity, and when my own subscribers defended my right to respond, they found themselves harassed as well. And when I say harassment, I mean not just having their own channels spammed, but even going so far as being tracked down on Facebook. A lot of the trolls believe they have the right to harass me because they insist I called Rue a racist, but I didn't actually call him a racist, and I apologized to him if he felt I came across that way. What I actually was trying to put across is that his argument is based on some misguided beliefs. A lot of people want to argue semantics about this, claiming it's not racism but xenophobia is just another form of racism. In the end, nobody really hates people because they were born on a specific place. It's the differences in culture that racist people stereotype and hate people for, and that is exactly what a lot of the hatred of JRPGs boils down to. It's hatred of so-called anime artwork, of so-called androgynous characters, and tropes common to Japanese literature. It's hatred of the kawaii aesthetics. And for many, it's hatred of anything that wasn't made in the USA. I said this in my last video about JRPGs, but I don't believe Rue is a racist person. What I believe is that he's on the wrong side of the argument, the side which doesn't take the time to understand that sometimes words can have two meanings, the literal meaning, then the meaning they have when they are used to insult. For example, it isn't wrong to call someone who was born in Mexico a Mexican, but it is wrong to call anyone who has brown skin a Mexican. That is clearly racist, but a lot of people do it. Technically, I don't even like it when people call American-born Hispanics Mexican, because they obviously aren't Mexican, they're Americans. I made my video with the belief that if I dissected Rue's argument piece by piece and exposed the critical flaws in it, Rue would understand where I'm coming from and why these stereotypes should not be endorsed by him. After all, he comes across in his videos as being very knowledgeable about games, and it's unlikely he hasn't heard about the hundreds of action RPGs out there, as well as the many Japanese titles with nonlinear narratives. But clearly, after all of this, he and I are going to have to agree to disagree about this issue. Some people have proposed that I shouldn't get so worked up about this issue because these are just video games, but I disagree. I don't view video games as just toys. I view video games as the newest creative medium, and I sincerely believe they and their creators deserve the recognition given to other creative mediums. There is a lot of people out there who admire programmers, composers, writers, and painters, and even film directors, but they hold video game creators in contempt. They don't understand that video game development requires programmers, writers, composers, artists, and even film directors. People who are incredibly talented at what they do, and I think deserve more respect for being part of the collaborative art that is modern video game development. But this medium of ours simply isn't going to be viewed by the general public as anything more than children's toys unless we gamers start taking the medium more seriously. When I point out how wrong these negative and unjust stereotypes are, I'm not doing it to get attention for myself. I'm doing it to draw attention to the issue and explain why change is needed. Some of my haters have accused me of fighting a crusade here, and you know what? I am. I absolutely am fighting a battle here, and it's a fight I sincerely believe needs to be fought. The gaming community needs to come together as mature, rational adults if we are determined to make this a meaningful medium. If we continue to cling to ignorant ideologies and spread unwarranted hatred within our own culture, then the stereotype of the prepubescent, violent video game lover is going to continue to stick in the media. And if we continue to allow those who spread these self-destructive ideologies to be our representatives, these stereotypes are never going to stop. We have to confront these people head-on. We can't let them drown out our voices. Lastly, I'm going to stress again that I have very little tolerance for those who throw around the word faggot, flaggot, or any variation thereof. If you want a good explanation for why it's not appropriate, check my video description for a link marked what faggot really means. That so many of my detractors are fond of using the word only makes it more clear to me that these people have to be confronted by somebody, and if it won't be you, dear viewer, then it might as well be me.